proclamation and a resolution for the voting center proclamations.
Just 1 second. Resume recording. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out on this rainy, windy night. We'll begin with a roll call.
Eddie Ross,
Here.
Mary Maha,
Here.
Nancy Bai,
Here.
and Mary Glacken.
Here.
And I want to mention that Counselor Bryan is on active duty. Okay, I will call the meeting to order. Would you please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty, justice for all.
Okay, I will entertain a motion to sit as the Board of Water and Sewer Commissioners.
Go ahead. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Okay, so we have open forum for water and sewer. Is there anyone that would like to speak? Okay, seeing as there's no one, we'll move on to the report of town officials. Mike?
Good evening. This on?
Yep,
Okay.
this now.
Thank you. Believe you have my report. Few things I want to report to you. Since our last meeting, it came up pretty quick, within 2 weeks since our last meeting with the water department. Just wanted to inform you during the blizzard. So when we anticipate a storm like the blizzard, like tonight, we will put the generator, the water treatment facility generator online. And there's a reason for that. There's a lot of electronic components to our water treatment facility, and it doesn't like power to come on and off, on and off. So if you have that branch on the line, we anticipate a storm. In advance of the storm, we'll take the plant off the street power and put it on generator power. So the generator was running before the storm, and then it was running through the storm. When the power went out, for some reason, it was about the same time it seemed it happened, but the generator failed at the water treatment facility. So we didn't have treatment facilities offline, power was out. We were fine. We had plenty of storage during the storm event. You had many hours of storage in the 2 water towers. But we immediately called our vendor who services it, and they came out. We thought it was a simple issue. It ended up being a failure of the stator in the generator, which is beyond repair. So basically, that generator is it's toast. So just what Ed said. So Tina and Ed were working with our insurance carrier and also possibly FEMA, right? We're thinking maybe. But regardless, we had to rent a generator, got that delivered, and it's online. So we have emergency backup, but it's something we're renting. And while we go through the process, we're receiving quotes on a new generator install, and we'll keep you posted on that. It's an 18-year-old generator. These generators, 20, 25 years, you should be able to get. I mean, there's not that many hours on it. It's just unfortunate that it happened. We're trying to figure out, I mean, it was just during the storm, how it was running. I don't know if it was bringing moisture into the generator because it was very windy that day and that was what failed. I don't know if some of the windings were exposed. Something happened, inside that generator during the storm. So we just wanted to give you that report. We had I had a meeting with our consultant for the water supply study, and I just want to refresh you on this. So last year, we received a grant from the Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank, if you remember. It's about 137,000, I believe, it was something like that. They've been working on it. PAR was given the project, our consultant, and there are three major components. Evaluation of off-island water sources from neighboring interconnection, either North Kingstown or Newport. So looking at off-island for potential permanent connection or if necessary. Investigation of existing bedrock wells for yield in Jamestown, water quality and Department of Health requirements for water supply, and investigation of locations for potential wells. And then an evaluation of the physical hydraulic limitations of the existing system. So we had a progress meeting. It was, there's been a lot of work that's been happening behind the scenes with their staff. So water system expansion. So they're looking at hydraulically what we can with the towers that we have. We just want to know what can we supply on the island? What we're found through modeling, and they have yet to finalize it. Pressure is not the issue, it's flow. If you can imagine us producing enough flow of water through a network of pipes going north of Whedon Lane to provide fire protection. It's not necessarily a pressure issue going north, it's flow and of course supply, but they just want to look at our distribution pipe network and what we want to answer that question. So it appears, they would absolutely couldn't go north of Whedon Lane for the amount of flow necessary for distribution piping. So that will come out of the report. Supply, off-island supply. So North Kingstown is where the interconnection, our temporary our emergency interconnection agreement is with. Newport, it was found Newport can't deliver hydraulically to our system. Our system is higher, so it would have to be pumped. Then it's a longer distance, deeper waters, everything that you can imagine that goes with that. So North Kingstown was what my predecessor, Steve Gosling, was worked with North Kingstown. That hydraulically can work. That tower behind the fire station, right across from the park and ride, there's a fire station, there's a tower there. That tower can provide our tower with storage. It's higher. That's how water can flow. It can flow by gravity into our system, providing water. So limitations wide, Newport has, limitations with their system providing what North Kingstown has an issue with. The it appears there's more water and potentially in Newport than in North Kingstown because the 3 well fields are limited in what they can supply. In fact, from what I gather, they're having their own problems with development and providing water for future build out scenarios. So the next step is meeting with the 2 agencies, Newport Water and North Kingstown Water. So that will happen soon. And then they were looking source water options. So Northeast Water Solutions is the sub consultant to PAR. You may remember him.
Yeah.
He testified during the East Shore Road water connection. He very impressive, his knowledge about water. And it's very impressive as his company, the knowledge they have in geology and wells and So a lot of that, I'm getting to realize that how how talented that group is. And so I'm kind of glad he's on the team. And what he's done is he's gone through the Department of Health records and records of his own, and he's gotten a lot of data. And right now he's just combing through all of this data from wells, well completion reports, geology. So what he's trying to determine is well yield on the island, not just for, but just looking at the island, geology and soils and, well, he's looking at the ability for the water, for our soils and geology to produce, to yield water, and the challenges that Jamestown has. So he's working on that. He's also working on his crew, his staff has been to the island looking at geological features of bedrock outcroppings throughout the town. And he's looking at cracks, and he's looking at the direction that cracks go, and it's really interesting. I can't wait for him once he gets further along that you can see his presentation on that. It's pretty interesting on just geology in general and water supply, groundwater water supply. So that's where he's at. What will come out of that, I'm hoping soon, is that we start to look at, he'll maybe identify areas where we can drill potentially to do some investigating, but also looking at the 8 wells that were drilled, and to see if any of those have any ability, or that he feels that it can be permitted through the Department of Health. So that's where that study is. So I just wanted to give you an update on that is work, work is being done on that.
Make any sense as I've postponed, I've asked for a postponement of doing the rules. Does it make any sense for some of that to be known before we do some of the rules?
Oh,
Not that I'm desirous of keeping the existing rules because they're so goofy, or that's a nice word for it, but
I can really appreciate what you're trying to do
yeah.
with the I really do. But a lot of the information that you're using
Yes.
is in real documents that are there that
Right.
we've adopted, that have been approved by either the Water Resources
Exactly.
Board, Department of Health. So I don't know if we can all talk about it. I wasn't prepared to talk about it. I don't think Peter and Ed had an opportunity. We haven't
Right.
met and talked about it. But there's a lot of data that you're reciting.
Exactly.
And some of this data, will be updated on a frequent basis. And the historical data,
Right.
yeah, that exists.
Right.
But some of the census data, the flow,
Right.
that'll always be updated in documents that'll exist. So what I'm mentioning, what I want to say is that in the preamble, I maybe that's just citing the documents, that information is there,
Exactly.
then rather to try to rewrite it.
Right. So, but for folks who don't know what we're sort of talking, I kind of jumped the gun to another topic, but prompted by what you were saying, because I found it really interesting. Mike, I never expected that the 2003 Water Study Commission report was going to be so interesting. And it talks about the hydrology and the geology and stuff. And then because people do believe that the aquifer is a giant pool, right, in the center of our island where, and that we're all dipping straws into it, when in fact it's just a bunch of cracks in the, and it kind of is wherever you happen to land and try to go into one of those cracks, right? I just thought, but it is, I think that information that he's going to provide will add to all of the information we have. And I think that's really great.
Sure.
He is impressive, and it would be good to know the geology, to have that. And I agree with you, just citing the information in my effort to change the preamble.
Mhm.
I basically just reorganized slightly and quoted the water supply management plan, which hasn't yet been approved, right?
No,
Right. So, yeah, maybe I better stop.
No, but there, and I'll tell you why. So we're ready. The data's there, the information's there. What's not there is the rules. So, because in that document is our existing rules. And when we met with the Water Resources Board and their comments, they were willing to stay and wait for the rules so that it's one complete document, that we wouldn't have to go back to amend the water system supply management plan for new rules.
So would you like us to put it on for the April 20th meeting?
Well, I'm not sure. I don't think I don't know, because we got to talk.
Yeah.
Or can I participate with
preamble.
you guys in just discussing what I sent to you, which is some review of the
Yeah,
preamble?
I would say we need to kind of refine your comments first, bring it back to the council.
Do you think it's a little long, Ed? I mean, you know,
um, And then when the council is ready and comfortable with that, to schedule a date. But we do,
I
as
agree.
you know, as Mike indicated, we do have to get that hearing done and
Yep,
wrap up the rule section.
absolutely.
When you get to the agenda item of scheduling the hearing for April 20th, I would suggest you just not do that at this point. It's still yet to be determined what date would be appropriate.
But maybe aim for the May 20th meeting then, or something.
That would be a great,
Yeah,
the second meeting in May would be a great target date
I
for
think
us to
so.
get that done.
great, thank you. I sort of jumped the gun, Mike, but
That's
I'm
okay.
happy that you're finding that whole, that it's interesting, there are resources and stuff. I mean, but would I not be right that in terms of water supply, one of the most expensive pieces, you can drill a well, but how are we going to get it to people is another whole, I mean, that is to say, all the folks who are thinking that we're going to supply more water and supply the Jamestown shores, that's a zillion-dollar project.
In our discussions, they don't believe that sort of well exists on the island. The soils and the geology does not yield that significant rate of water to produce a well that's going to double our capacity. It might be another well of 50 gallons a minute, similar to the well JR1, which produces about 50,000 gallons a year. Something of that nature to get us closer to our peak demand, and get us closer to, if we even get close to what we think our build out is going to be. The build out, if you remember, was 400,000 gallons a day. Our average right now is 150 right now. A peak in the summer on July 4th weekend, it might be 350. So, so our yield with the reservoir at 185,000 gallons a day, the safe yield, and then that 50,000, which is the well, which adds that other additional capacity. So that's kind of where we are, about 235, somewhere in that range of what we have in supply. So if we can get another 50, I mean, that would be offset.
In terms of safe build.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we also had a pretty good discussion, but it was really really high level, reverse osmosis. And there's limitations on what we can do.
Right.
Again,
For the public's knowledge, because there's just teeming in this room, I
Yeah.
can see, that the fact is that the issue with reverse osmosis, one big issue is we can't, just like you couldn't put the snow back in the ocean, right? You couldn't put
Yeah.
the snow, you can't put your salts and stuff back in.
Well, yeah, it's what you take out of the water that you're
Right.
treating, all of that. You've
Exactly.
got to find
Play to-
where we don't have the footprint
Right, exactly.
to deal with it, and we can't discharge it to that type 1 water that has aqua farms and
Right.
pristine conditions at the moment. You
Oysters are
couldn't do
salty.
that. So,
Yeah, okay.
I mean, that's the limitations we have. Just to continue on, North Pond is coming up quickly, which is good. I mean, we're in drought conditions for a while. That was even reported this week that Rhode Island was continuing this drought condition through the summer, right through the winter.
Yep.
But we were at our, about 50% capacity, and we've came up, 9 million gallons in a week. I mean, that's in storage.
Your graph of reservoir level is kind of shocking, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because we are significantly lower than we normally would be.
But we'll be fine.
We'll be
We will. I mean, we're heading into April, and even just today, I'd noticed just the amount of water came up
Yep.
and then tonight. So we're going to be fine on this store, bringing back the supply. We did have a water meter installation bid opening. There were 3 contractors interested in the project. I was not prepared to make a recommendation to you. We're going to do that at our next meeting to make a formal recommendation for the water meter project. Okay. Wastewater, I provided you some of the average daily flows. What it doesn't depict here. So if you can imagine snow melt and 1 inch of rain that we received a week or so ago, basically just really they came in around 2 in the morning in alarm conditions, and all the pumps were flowing, and they had opened up additional aeration tanks at the wastewater plant. So these guys, they understand how to operate the system through these storms. But what I'm telling you is inflow and infiltration is an issue in the collection system, as I've reported to you in the past. We can go from 300,000 gallons on an average, get the storm and snow melt, and we're over 2 million gallons in a matter of 12 hours. It happens that fast. Health conditions can change. And then resiliency plan, that was submitted late on Friday. I'm hoping to have a copy of that in your next meeting, and we can go over some of the things that we're working on with that. So I don't know if you have anything else you want to talk about.
No. Any questions
Questions?
for Mike? No? So it kind of brings us into unfinished business, which we kind of talked a little bit about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. Item 2. And anything else to add to the unfinished business?
No, I just think as Ed said, we wouldn't, we'll wait to look at the water rules. I've sent you folks a sort of some of my thoughts very late. And then, or very early this morning. And I think we can look at that, and with the target date of May 20th. I mean, I think that would be the way to see it.
So the preamble that exists
Yep.
today, that was written, I think Quentin wrote this many years ago,
Yep.
30 years ago,
20.
or assisted the board in drafting this when he was solicitor. This is more like statement, like
Yes,
they made a statement.
Right.
And then I don't know if you're looking to get away from that, some of these facts.
I'm
that
looking to
exist.
toughen it up.
And then
And be a little,
No.
yours is, there's very descriptive and there's a lot of information
Right.
in there.
but like you said, we don't have to quote the water man. What I'm trying to do with these rules is provide, as I said the last time, is provide for the folks who are on the water system
Sure.
and the folks who aren't, the reasons why we need these rules. That are,
I'll give you an example. So let's just say you have an interest in explaining our supply challenges.
yep,
With the recent water supply build out plan, can it just be simply that we cannot provide water for build out as in reference to water system supply management plan of 2020?
I think it could
30.
be. I think it could be, but
Rather than having all of this data. I'm just asking, can it
No.
be that simple?
It might, but I also think that like when I read the letter that said we can't, the school budget has to be cut because we've got these big infrastructure things that are in front of us, including water and sewer. I thought, but no, it's the users of water. I mean, there's a myth out there that
Yes.
that the town taxpayers are paying for water and sewer, and they are to a certain. I mean, right?
Sure.
There's Ed, Tina helps give them financial review. Public Works helps sometimes digging a ditch or whatever. It's just like Harbor, right?
Right.
Where, both police and fire and Public Works and Ed and Tina all help. These are enterprise accounts. They're accounts that support themselves. for
Right.
the most part. It's the difficulty is that the water department is, the users are limited, sewer's even worse. The users are limited, and so the money generated is not great. And so how do you do these things? But it's not the taxpayer who's paying for it. So that's one concern I have. It's also like the sense that, oh, those water users, they're going after our aquifer. You know, I mean, issues that people have with their wells are largely because of their particular geologic
Underneath their
situation.
house.
Right. I mean, the folks on Seaview and East Shore Road, it's because they're right by the water. The very reason why they bought the house is the reason why is the reason why they're having trouble, because of their particular geologic situation. They can't go very deep without hitting salt water.
Correct.
So I just want to get some of that out there I was voluminous, I understand,
Yeah.
but I want to get
Being
clear. No,
critical.
oh,
but
you
what
can
I'm-
be critical all
What
you
I'm
want.
saying is the information you have, it can't be in this form.
Yeah.
Where you're stating a fact and you just reference the document where you received the fact. Where, and then you,
Yeah, that's probably true, and I think just gotta be.
where, similar, you know, some, if you've just it's just a statement.
Right, exactly.
And,
But
but you reference the document and you can go back
Right.
and read that,
it's kind of like if I had more time, I would have written you a shorter letter.
okay,
Right.
fair enough.
I was just gonna add one comment, which is I think we need to do a much better job of communicating to residents like why we're doing what we're doing with the rules, and then also like the issues beyond the water district.
Mhm.
So I think for the purposes of this document, I think it's really about the water district.
Correct.
And I think if we can keep it as tailored as possible to really just the water district and the rules, I think that makes sense. Referencing, like, we should probably put some version of what you wrote publicly on the website out in the full light of day so people really fully understand and appreciate those constraints. I also think outside of our, what we're like sitting as right now, which is the Water and Sewer Board, like the town council more broadly, I think has a responsibility to the whole town to say, all right, well, you live in the shores, or you live off of East Shore Road. Like, how are we going to help you if or are we going to help you? But how might we help you if you're in a really unfortunate situation, your well runs dry? Or you have a neighbor who, maybe has a very old septic, and maybe you have a well and you're not exactly sure, what's happening with the groundwater. So I think there's a very specific discussion we have around the border of water and sewer and these rules. And then when we stop sitting as this board, there's also another discussion more broadly about water.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Okay, so I think we pretty much covered the unfinished business. No, that's fine. That's fine. Next we have the consent agenda.
Madam President, before you
Oh, sure.
move off of kind of scheduling, water and sewer matters.
Yeah.
So one of the factors would be dependent upon, we discussed this before the meeting of the April 20th scheduled town council meeting, which is also school break. So
School
there's a couple of
vacation.
things to consider. One is that would be the date at which, I know we're crossing over to town council business, but if you'll indulge me for a minute, that would be the date that you have to approve the budget.
The deadline,
That's the deadline.
the deadline.
The second matter is if we're going to schedule a public hearing to adopt the rules for May 18th, it probably would be appropriate to get it onto a calendar somewhere before then for the council to reach a final version to be ordered to be advertised. So that would be either another meeting in April, if you reschedule that 20th meeting or not, or you would have to handle water and sewer on May 4th as well, which is fine if that's the only agenda item you want to handle that night. So something to contemplate. Just keeping an eye on the calendar, shooting for that May 18th public hearing date.
I think my experience over 8,000 years I've been on the council is that by the time we get to April 20th, if we haven't talked about it by then, I mean, I think the budget goes quickly in my experience. So
So for the
But
budget purposes, you have it on your agenda tonight for discussion. You have your hearing, I'm sorry, your workshop on the 26th with the school committee.
Mhm.
And then you also have the April 6th council meeting. So you have 3 more meetings, tonight, the workshop, and then the April 6th meeting to hopefully reach a conclusion on your budget.
Thank you for that reminder. Yeah, that helps. Okay, so as far as the water, we're gonna put that off until possibly the second meeting in May, right? So that's not,
The public hearing.
right, the
Yeah.
public
So
hearing,
in
yeah.
order to do that, we've got to, in order to do that, we have to, discuss what would be the subject of that public hearing. So,
Sure.
yeah, okay.
And just as a reminder, I will ask for permission to advertise like we did on the agenda this evening. So until we receive that approval by you to
Right.
advertise, we cannot move forward on that.
Right. And how long do you have to advertise for a public hearing? 2 weeks?
It's 1 week.
Oh, okay.
This is
Okay, thank you.
not, I believe it falls under the ordinance requirements for advertisement. Peter, can you weigh in on that? In other words, we would, if you were to instruct us to order to advertise in that first meeting in May, we would have time before the second meeting in May.
Okay,
Great.
Yeah, that's correct.
that sounds reasonable. Okay, that brings us to the consent agenda for the water and sewer.
Move to approve the consent agenda?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. And now I'll entertain a motion to adjourn as sitting from the Board of Water and Sewer Commissioners.
To adjourn as water and sewer commissioners.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Okay, now we have open forum for the regular meeting. Is there anyone that would like to speak? Okay, seeing as no one would like to speak, we'll move on to our acknowledgements. We have, first up, we have a resolution supporting the maternal health care and the Noreen Stoner Drexel Birthing Center at Newport Hospital. And I believe Counselor Ross will read that for us.
Yes, it's number 2026-08, supporting maternal health care and the Noreen Stoner Drexel Birthing Center at Newport Hospital. Whereas healthcare providers across the state, including Brown Health, are facing substantial budget shortfalls that are requiring the consideration of cuts to programs and services. And whereas Newport Hospital is part of Brown Health, has served as a cornerstone of healthcare for the residents of Newport County, Jamestown, and the greater Aquinic Island community for over a century. And whereas the Noreen Stoner Drexel Birthing Center at Newport Hospital provides essential maternal and newborn care to families in Newport County and surrounding areas, including Jamestown. And whereas access to local obstetric and maternal health care is critical for ensuring safe pregnancies, timely deliveries, and reducing maternal and infant health risks. Maintaining local birthing services aligns with the principles of equitable healthcare access, community wellness, and public health best practices. And whereas thousands of Newport County residents have expressed their support, including through the organizing efforts of Moms Over Margins and other community leaders. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the town council requests that the town administration work with state and federal officials, healthcare stakeholders, and the broader community to support efforts by the General Assembly and state lawmakers to maintain operations at the birthing center. And be it further resolved that these efforts, including supporting related bills introduced by members of the Jamestown State House and Senate delegation, including House Bill H7272 and Senate Bill S2380, which are intended to help ensure the maintenance and improvement of maternal care. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be sent to the governor of the state of Rhode Island and the Rhode Island General Assembly by order of the Jamestown Town Council.
Thank you. Any, okay.
Move to approve.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Okay, next we have a proclamation. I guess I'll read it.
Good.
No one else volunteered. This is the Town of Jamestown proclamation of the Town Council number 2026-09, April, Month of the Military Child. Whereas since 1986, the Department of Defense has recognized military children during the month of April. Because of their service, commitment, and sacrifice to support our nation's armed forces, it is important to honor and celebrate our military's youngest heroes. And whereas the month of the military child is an opportunity to remember children's roles in strengthening the military family. This year's theme is Military Children and Youth, Strength in Every Story. And whereas living in different states, countries, and continents, military children face unique challenges that most youth their age do not experience. They are equipped to adapt to present and future changes, such as permanent changes of station, deployments, reintegration, care of their wounded warrior parent, or coping with the loss of a fallen parent. Through each new step in life, they always remain ready and resilient. And whereas we, the leaders of the town of Jamestown, along with the Jamestown School Committee, are thankful for the positivity and enthusiasm of military children as we keep moving forward. We are committed to maintaining excellence in schools, youth services, and childcare to ensure that families always receive the best programming, no matter where their next adventure takes them. Now therefore, the Town Council of the Town of Jamestown, Rhode Island, does hereby proclaim that April 2026 is the month of the military child and encourages the residents of our town to observe the month with appropriate ceremonies and activities in Jamestown and at the Jamestown schools that honor, support, and thank our military children by order of the Jamestown Town Council.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. All right. Let's see what we have next. Next, we have a presentation. This presentation will be given by Chair Dennis Webster of the 250th Commission. Come on down or up. And I see you're accompanied by Laura Goldstein, who is also on the commission.
Yes. Good evening. I'm Dennis Webster, 22 Mount Hope Avenue. The 250th Commission decided early on that we really didn't have the ability to put on many events on our own. We decided our job would be to encourage town organizations to hold events and to incorporate revolutionary events into their normal summer events in town. We've been discussing various events for months, and I want to credit Laura Goldstein for keeping track of all our discussions, putting them together into a chronological list, and then doing all the graphics work to come up with this list. It's got a lot on it for May. It kind of tapers off later in the summer. That is not because there's necessarily going to be fewer events in the summer. It's that we're still working on them. This is not a final product. It will be added to periodically. We're discussing various other things that just weren't quite ready to put in print yet, but this is where we are currently. I'd like to go through the list, not everything, and just point out a few highlights. Patty Pereira from the Friends of Jamestown Seniors has put together a genealogy tree of people who were in Jamestown in 1775, 76, 77, and still have family members here. And that will be displayed in the Jamestown Library in May and June. I'm very much looking forward to seeing it.
I'm sorry, who's doing that?
Pat,
Oh, okay, okay.
and her husband Francisco is coordinating a Jamestown community photo similar to the one that was done in the year 2000.
Right, and that's for the Friends of the Jamestown Seniors. He asked me to remind everyone tonight that that is a fundraiser for the Friends of Jamestown Seniors as well.
Thank you for
It's okay.
putting, yes. Beavertail Lighthouse Museum, thanks to Linda Warder, is incorporating some Revolutionary War displays into into the museum this summer, because the lighthouse that was there then, certainly was instrumental in getting ships in and out of the harbor.
Right, the second lighthouse. Sorry, I got
Yeah.
the president. I have to know these dates, okay?
I was a little reluctant to mention anything about the
Yeah.
lighthouse
Yeah.
with you here,
Yeah,
Nancy.
that's okay, sorry.
The Memorial Day Parade this year, we are going to the American Legion and VFW are going to be inviting other town organizations to march in the parade, have floats in the parade, have marching units in the parade, hopefully with some Revolutionary War era themes.
As long as we don't have to wear costumes, Dennis.
You can if you want. Well, now that you've brought it up, Mary. The Historical Society is doing a lot for the 250th anniversary. And one of the things they're doing is they're bringing back Battery Day, which hasn't been held in 5 or 6 years. So that will be on May 30th out at Connecticut Battery. The Small Works Textile Challenge. We talked about a 250th quilt and couldn't quite get much traction on that. So there's going to be a display of smaller textile works. And then, yes, and then the fireworks on July 6th, and we're going to try and incorporate some kind of a reading of the Declaration of Independence in there, but that is still fluid, so it's not on the list. This will be the basis for some publicity. Oh, I also want to point out the TRIFO flyer that Laura also did all the graphics work on. But I want to wrap this up and say, are there any questions? Do you have any direction for us?
No, I just want to commend you. I mean, personally, on all the work that goes into this. I mean, just getting everything lined up. And that, like you said, I know it's a work in progress, so I know, but just getting the credit to where the credit's due and all that other stuff it's amazing. And thank you all for doing that. And Laura, I recognize your handiwork, and thank goodness, that's great, wonderful. And Dennis, thank you. That's a lot of work.
And you will recognize, you will notice that there's not complete detail on here. Times and places aren't necessarily included. Part of that was space. Part of that is that we don't have all the times nailed down yet, and there will be publicity a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks before the event that has more detail.
And there's a website,
Yeah.
jamestownri.gov/250 celebrations, and people can get more information.
Laura, can you just speak into the microphone, please?
You need some.
Oh,
What we are hoping to do is to have this information posted on the town website. And I just was proposing a 250 celebration.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So that's a suggestion. Also, once we get the website, then I can do a QR code so that that can be picked up and people will be able to go back to the town site. We'll give this to the Jamestown Press and hopefully they'll have articles on that. Then as far as the brochure is concerned, we wanted to create something that we could put around town that would help to show pictures of the actual events, create some interest and things. Some of these events like the sheep shearing are put on by the historic New England and you need tickets. So the website for that is here. And most of these pictures just came off the open source website. So I haven't needed to get permission for anybody.
That's good.
Okay.
Great.
I put directions on the back of the brochure because I wanted, if it, goes far afield, which we hope it will, that people at least know how to get to Jamestown. This will also go on the Rhode Island State website for the 250th. Lauren, that we work with up at the Secretary of State's office, will be publicizing some of this as well and putting this on there. So we wanted to show it to you, make sure that you were comfortable with these proposals. And so then if it's okay with all of you, then I'll meet with Roberta. We'll get the website, the QR code, and move forward.
Well, I
sounds
just think
great.
you've done an incredible job. I mean, I just remember when they first came down from the state and talked to us about it, it seemed like eternity, it seemed like it was going to be so far down the road and now here we are. So,
To have to update this periodically. So I will discuss with Roberta what's the best way to do that. Right now, we're covered through August and September with those events that I currently know of. So
right.
we've also tried to talk to organizations in town about posting this list with the restaurants and things, and also asking some of the businesses to plant in red, white, and blue so that we kind of carry the,
It's nice.
the
That's a nice thought.
theme forward. I still have to speak to the garden associations and things, so, but
That reminds me of all the meetings that, I'm not sure if Dennis, but I know that Laura has been to so many meetings of other groups just to gather this information. So a lot of work behind the scenes
Yeah,
went into
appreciate
it.
that.
So tonight you're just asking for permission from us to,
yeah, before we publish anything and
Mhm.
go forward,
okay,
representing the town, we wanted you to see what we were doing and if you had any input, we certainly will.
Do you have?
I was just gonna say, I think it looks great. I mean, why don't you, I was just gonna direct them to the staff and
Yeah,
I think they can work with you and it looks great from my vantage point.
right.
Wonderful.
And move to approve that effort. So,
Thank
or also endorse that effort. I guess.
I want to give you the opportunity to say if you haven't, no?
No, I think it's great.
Oh, thank you. Thank
Okay.
you.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And again, thank you both, and thank you both for coming this evening. I know, right? Isn't that amazing? Okay. Let's see, next we have public hearings, license and permits. So we have an applicant. We have one applicant for a one-day event entertainment license. This is for the Quanoniquet Garden Club for May 9th, Fort Getty. Any discussions, any questions? about-
Move to approve and move to waive the fee.
Second.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And that brings us to our town administrator's report. Okay.
Thank you, Madam President. Just a couple of items to report on. One is related to a project at Taylor Point. This is Free Body Drive, Taylor Point. if you're familiar with the embankment there that is slowly eroding over the years. So about 9 months ago, the staff and I met with representatives from the Infrastructure Bank. And at that time, they offered a direct technical grant. So a direct technical grant, essentially, they contract with a consultant. And in this case, it was Fuss and O'Neill. And they began to look at a conceptual design for that Potter's Cove free body area. They presented that conceptual design back to us about a month ago. And in addition to presenting that conceptual design, as you might imagine, it's related to drainage, it's related to erosion, it's related to the embankment and mitigating all of the potential effects of stormwater runoff that occurs there. They did offer us an EPA grant, which would be managed through the Infrastructure Bank. This is a direct grant, which we would then have to manage. We would have to put out an RFP, hire a consultant, an engineering firm, which would further the conceptual design onto a complete design and construction documents that essentially, through the efforts of the staff and the consultant, develop a project there, including a number attached to the construction cost of that project. It does not fund the project. So the initial conceptual construction documents as prepared by Fuss and O'Neill places that project estimate, very early estimate, at about $750,000. What this does is just furthers that design and puts us in a place that if there are grant opportunities and funding opportunities in the future, it would put us in a shovel-ready project mode. So we would, there's a couple of items that I would ask to be put on the consent agenda at the next meeting if you are in agreement. If there's no questions on that, I'll move on to Heads Beach. Ray very regularly meets with representatives of the Shores Association. A lot of discussion about Heads Beach, as you know. There's been discussion over the years about the invasive Phragmites at Heads Beach. That line, I would describe it as the southern end of that property. Mike and the staff put together a permit for the removal of those Phragmites, and that permit was approved by CRMC. We also asked for beach replenishment there. So what the association has asked for is to try to improve the beach conditions there. So there's a lot of things that happen there between shells and seaweed, just based upon the two jetties that kind of block that in, really challenging. So we're going to try a kind of a pilot program to import sand. We got to balance that with cost and annual maintenance, all that, but we do have a permit to do that. So we're going to try to balance that a little bit. If the council is okay with us proceeding with those two items, that's the removal of the invasive Phragmites, which Mike's staff can handle the initial round of it, and then it would be just a maintenance issue, basically with a mower at that point, along with the pilot program of the beach sand replenishment. The last item is related to yet another town policy, which is included in your packet. As I indicated in budget discussions, going through the benefits for department directors and non-union employees in comparison to our union employees, there's a handful of, I would describe as inequities. And I'll bring your attention to section F related to longevity. So previously, the current plan or current adopted version of this plan policy puts a cap for all non-union and department heads at 9.5% of their 19th year salary. So for example, if you make $50,000 in your 19th year, you take 9.5% of that, that's your longevity. That amount stays flat forever, regardless of your salary moving up, that amount stays flat. So what I'm asking for approval is to modify that policy, that it would be 9.5% of your annual salary as that salary adjusts over the years. The second item, which is a request for a change, is related to compensatory time and bereavement time. So there's no provision in the current policy to allow for paid bereavement time off, which we see in our union contracts. So I'm making a recommendation that employees, department directors, non-union employees would be allowed up to 5 days to attend the funeral or services of family members. The item number 7 is related to compensatory time. So a department head does not work for compensatory time. They're salaried employees. There is no comp time for a salaried employee. However, we have hourly employees who are covered by this policy. So it codifies exactly what comp time is and how you earn it and how you may use comp time. And last is number 8, related to emergency closures, just clarifying that employees who are scheduled for time off, should there be a circumstance where town hall or other buildings are closed, they still remain in their normal time off process, so they don't get that credit back. They schedule a vacation day, town hall or another facility happens to be closed, they still use their vacation day, they don't get credit back. So it's in alignment to what the state policy is for emergency closures. So again, open to discussion about those. It's some moderate changes, again, trying to bring into alignment with what union employees receive. And if the council so agrees, we would put that onto your next agenda under consent agreement, if you so approve. And that is all that I have, unless there's anything further.
No, I was going to say, I mean, I think that the changes, first, the spirit of the changes are spot on. I mean, we don't want to have inequities in our, union, non-union staff, many of which are in the room right now. And yeah, I would be very supportive of the changes that you're adding.
This answers the question of why Tina didn't get a 3% raise, right? Or helps to. Same probably for you. I didn't happen to notice yours, but I think it's great. That just shouldn't happen.
Okay, so, I mean, do we need to vote on putting it on the consent agenda or
Just
just,
on the agenda.
okay, that's fine. Yep. Mhm.
Certainly could.
Okay, thank you. Perfect. Okay, that brings us to unfinished business, which is a review, discussion, and or action on the town council budget for FY 2026-27. We've been working on.
I think we put this on in case you had anything to bring up in terms of the budget, Eddie. Right?
Yep.
That's
Yes.
Yeah, if I could just start with a comment of where we are. So, in order of trying to stay organized, because I know there's been 2 workshops so far in regards to the budget. I know there's been some discussion by the counselors regarding changes to the budget that was presented to you. So what I gave to you tonight, and we'll keep a master sheet of that in terms of basically an add subtract worksheet, right? So as a reminder, if we are at the cap where we are and allowed in terms of a tax levy increase, right? So if that is my recommended budget. If you want to make changes, it is your budget now to make those changes. If you want to add somewhere, I would suggest you got to subtract some. So it's unless you want to exceed the cap, which I don't think there's for this moderate amount of changes that have been discussed, I don't think that's probably for consideration at this point. So
Yeah.
we tried to help you just track that. So we track, and the intent is through consensus and discussion, eventually you'll reach an agreement and vote to adopt either the budget as presented or as revised. So we're trying to track all of that for you.
Yeah, the way that the material you gave us in the packet was really helpful, kind of just broken out by category and by spend with the notes at the bottom. So appreciate that very much. I don't have a lot of significant questions. I have 2 or 3 just quickly. The first is I know there's been a lot of discussion about the ladder truck capital investment. When we and I know there was some discussion from the town, like we don't have a lot of tall buildings, and I know that's not the intention. There's oftentimes rescues that have to happen, whether it's at Fort Getty or Beavertail and the like. I'm just curious, given the nature of who controls those properties, has there ever been any discussion or thoughts about trying to get some help from the state? Like if we're going to have to spend $2.5 million or $1.8 million on a ladder truck, and one of the main purposes is to go save people on Beavertail, and that's a state-owned park.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
I know, fair enough, but
Yeah, yeah. I mean-
just to be clear, I'm 1,000,000% supportive of a ladder truck. Like,
Yeah.
we need a ladder truck. We should have a ladder truck. We're, I think, beyond the useful life of the current ladder truck. So
Yeah.
nothing that I'm saying right now should get in the way of us going and bonding for that ladder truck.
Right.
It struck me when I was preparing for the meeting that, we're conveying some value to the state by investing in that. And,
Agreed.
yeah.
Yeah, so I can tell you that frequently, in the last few years that I've been involved with the League of Cities and Towns, the discussion of services provided to state parks is often a source of discussion. I can tell you my previous experience in Westerly, right? So they collect a revenue at the Musqueamick State Beach for parking,
Mhm.
right? Unless that has changed, there's a revenue share that occurs there, right? You don't have that here, right? There's no revenue from Weatherall or Beavertail that the state of Rhode Island collects. So it does get discussed. It does obviously not get a lot of traction based upon DEM's, budget concerns like everybody else's. But I think that's a conversation maybe to have in future discussions with the members of the General Assembly
Mhm.
about that. Similar to the Bridge Authority.
That's
So
what- yeah.
you may recall, we used to receive, I don't know what they described it. It was not payment in lieu of taxes, but it was a payment for services related to emergency services, mostly that we provide on the two bridges, the respective bridges. So that has been phased out as early as 3 years ago, where we do not receive that any longer. We used to receive, I think the last amount was $30,000 a year in revenue from the Bridge Authority. That's been phased out.
Mhm.
No obligation to the Bridge Authority to provide that over the years. They did that through their process and probably goodwill. I have had discussions with the director very recently about reinstituting that because they do make payments to other agencies for services. For example, they do make a payment to the state police for services, right? And I would argue that collectively between police, fire, and EMS, we are providing at least that same level of services for the same two bridges, right? So there is that discussion that has been denied by the Bridge Authority at this point as an informal request. I don't suspect that the Bridge Authority would do so based upon my request or your request. Again, I think that might be a conversation
Mhm.
for your delegation and maybe have a future discussion about a payment structure. Because in fairness to the director, right, her answer is there are other communities that would be impacted that they would have to consider payments to because of the 4 bridges across the multiple communities that they have. It's not strictly Jamestown.
Right.
It's North Kingstown, Newport, Portsmouth, and Bristol, right? So,
That's true for all of those communities. So
Yeah.
I wonder if maybe we should write a resolution that gets sent out, to the General Assembly talking about that. Because I think our emergencies, and in Jamestown, it's not just the bridges. They are also in control of the road. They took over, I think, when Peter McGurl was head of the Bridge and Turnpike Board. They took over the maintenance, I'm pretty sure, of the road too. I don't think that's DOT. So, that was when a Jamestowner was head of the Bridge and Turnpike Authority Board. So that may be when that all started. So, but I think if we maybe thought about writing a resolution to them just about that. I mean, we're not looking for an enormous amount of money. And I think even multiplied by I forget, 6 communities that you talked about, that's not enormous. And they do collect money.
yeah, I would just ask that we would have to do a little bit of work to figure out and get the historical payments and
Right.
what was the cause of those historical payments.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if it was legislation that changed. I don't believe there was an obligation for them to make that payment, but we can research that and then bring that forward if you wanted to
Yeah.
consider that as a resolution.
I think the general, like conceptually, if the town is in a position or where we have a moral obligation or we have the proximity where we're the first responder or we're providing services and they're basically riding our rails for free, it'd be interesting to see if there's precedent or if there's, I'd like to send them a bill. I mean, they may not pay it, obviously, but if there's a way in which that could be kind of adjudicated, it'd be nice to know that. I think we're likely to strike out on that, but it'd be nice to know.
I think Nancy just said that, and Howie, you can confirm, your vehicles get charged for going over? You have to have an easy pass, correct?
Right.
So
Yeah, they
there
all
you
have
go.
to have
Right
transponders.
there,
yeah.
right there.
Let's get our money,
Yeah.
We have to wait until the end, Dennis.
What's that?
We got to wait until the end. Dennis has his hands up, but
Yeah, I just want to
Yeah,
clarify. the
Hold on,
Easy
Dennis,
Pass.
I'm gonna let you.
Yeah, so we do receive some reimbursement back on the Easy Pass. We do pay if we're not responding, if the chief needs to go to a meeting or a fire
Oh.
truck needs to go for service, right?
Fair.
We're paying for that toll like everybody else.
Yeah.
If he responds there for an emergency, we have to do a report to get that back to us.
Gotta send a receipt in.
So-
Just give us give us some easy, give us the little things for free, you know? Come on, guys.
I know that's been something that's been talked about for a long time, right? Yeah, for sure. I know.
I have a couple other questions, but
Sure.
I didn't know if you wanted to let,
It's up to you. Yeah. Dennis, did you want
it's
to?
not on this topic, that's why.
Oh, okay, sure.
Dennis Webster, 22 Mount Hope Avenue. My recollection from about 25 years ago is that the town tried to get the bridge authority to let the ambulances cross for free. The bridge authority said, no, we can't do that because of our bond indenture. But we will give you a payment in lieu of the pilot. And that's where the payments from the bridge authority started. And apparently nobody there that remembers why.
Right. And it ended because we didn't let them build their solar panels. Yeah.
I feel like we're going down a rabbit hole now, so maybe we better move on. Okay, go ahead, Eddie.
My only other question was, I know we're gonna do some, we have a turf program. We're enhancing the turf work at Eldred, and we're gonna start a turf program at the lawn soccer field, I believe, based on the budget and the modest amounts of money. I think $12,000 or $15,000 each. Are we using any of the dollars from the fee in lieu of donation fund that we have a couple $100,000 in?
No, we're
No,
not.
okay.
So that's sitting in that reserve fund payment in lieu of open space or recreational space for development.
Yep.
We have not spent any dollars out of that related to maintenance or recreational facilities. Don't challenge my memory, but we have used it to purchase recreational open space
Yep.
on various projects, but that would be the extent, but we do not use it currently for maintenance.
But we don't, yeah. So I'm thinking, like, I'd like to see, while I'm happy that we're making some modest investments in the lawn soccer field specifically, like, I'd like to see us make a bubble investment in that. And if we have to harvest some dollars, like, I don't want to go over the cap, but if we have to harvest some dollars from that fund to get that soccer field in a more playable position soon, I would like to see us consider doing that. I don't know if how other counselors feel. Oh, I gotta write that down. Okay.
Yeah, I gotta write that down on the worksheet.
I have
All right,
other
I'll write
plans
it
for that
on, I'll
fund.
write it in.
Oh, okay. Well,
What's
Might
that?
be a debate. I have other plans for that fund,
You have
other
other,
ideas. I'd like to take the Eldridge, the arborvitae trees out of the budget and maybe use those funds for that.
oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
I'd like to take the arborvitae trees for Eldridge Field out of the budget and maybe use those funds, look at using those funds for that instead of it being in our capital budget. I'd like to see those funds go towards, maybe a playground at Heads Beach. It's a good way to do that. Including the soccer field at Lawn. But I think the turf program is probably the right way to start.
Mhm.
Is to have that and then find out what we can and what we need to do. And then maybe move those funds to maintain it.
Fill out the worksheet.
I
mean,
think the idea of using those funds for active recreational reasons, projects makes a lot of sense.
I agree. I'm not sure about the arborvitaes in only because they're like, we have a big tick problem in the town of Jamestown, and the soccer balls go into those areas around Eldred like all the time, and people are going in there. And so whether it's arborvitaes or whether it's some other, natural barrier, I'd like to see us work on something more at Eldred, because it's probably, I'd have a hard time thinking of a place other than maybe Fort Getty and Malco Cove that gets more intensity of use, like during the season. I mean, people are there all the time.
I requested and I've emailed Ed and Roberta to have the the Eldridge Fields Committee come in and give a little presentation or some sort of letter that says where they stand. We haven't heard from them.
Fair enough.
Before we put dollars into it.
And
I mean,
e-
honestly,
either
you know,
way.
We have arborvitae's around my yard and it's not going to stop a soccer ball.
Yeah, probably not in the first
mean,
couple
I-
of years
I-
at least. Yeah, you're not wrong.
It's-
Yeah, I mean, where I'm coming from specifically around the lawn soccer field is we don't really use the baseball field I mean, I think do we have a baseball team at lawn? I think we do.
We did last year.
We did last year. We're kind of, to Ed's point, a few weeks ago, it was like we seem to be a little non-committal on some of those fields being in service. The one thing we're definitely not non-committal on is using that soccer field. That soccer field definitely gets used not only for the school soccer teams, but also gets used for our summer program in the summer. So, I mean, I don't know anything about turf, and I don't know anything about turf management. If we feel like the amount of money that's in the budget is sufficient to improve it for the upcoming season and then get us on a trajectory to really improve that field for, let's say, in 12 months, then I'm supportive of that. But I'd like to see us, given that we haven't used any of those dollars in that fund, if there's more we can do, it'd be interesting to see how much it would cost. And if it's like short money, then maybe we should do it. I wouldn't want to sacrifice putting a playground at Head Speech, because I do think that's a good use potentially of those funds. But we've had, some pretty significant injuries on that soccer field. And I think some of it's related to it's just really, really firm and hard. And we've let it get away from ourselves, I think, from a recreational perspective.
Can I just
Yeah, please.
clarify?
Yep.
The Lawn Avenue field. So what I recommended in the budget was about half of what we spend at Eldred Avenue. So Eldred Avenue, for the last, I would say, 6 years, we've invested about $25,000 a year with an outside professional consultant to improve the turf conditions.
Yep.
Right. Most of that is various feeding programs, seeding programs, aeration programs. Right. So what I had put in the budget for Lawn Avenue, it's about the same area, is to begin that process for a 6-month period to see if we can build and start to improve upon that. I can assure you that based upon my conversations with that consultant, even if we doubled that money, you're not going to see a dramatic improvement to that field condition within 12 months. The condition that Eldred Avenue you see today is after a 5 or 6 year investment of that program. So it would take a long period of time. And I don't think there's a magic solution to fix a field within 12 months, regardless of the investment. With that being said, what I would ask you to consider is if you want to use money from the payment in lieu of fund,
Yep.
don't quote me. Let's just say there's $250,000 in there. You don't necessarily have to do that through the budget process, right? You can do that separate and apart. So if there's an investment or an exploration, you want to look at a playground
Yep.
at Heads Beach, if you want to add an investment at Eldred Avenue after you hear from the committee, if there are additional investments after learning from the consultant about turf management that could occur at Lawn Avenue to improve the field, you could handle that through a separate process. I don't know if that helps you kind
It
of
does.
navigate.
Yeah, it helps a lot. Yeah, I'm aligned with that. That makes sense. Thank you.
any other comments, questions?
The only other comment I had was, I think I'm hoping it can be accommodated in the kind of just normal, maintenance and seasonal work of the recreation department, but, weeding. So particularly at the tennis courts, and then I don't know if along Canonicus around East, like, are we responsible for the East Ferry Beach area, like the sidewalks? And is that the state or is that us?
So let me address the tennis courts first, if
Yeah.
I could. So the area around the tennis courts is a maintenance responsibility that should be handled by the rec department. So
Yep.
that we can address through normal maintenance. The condition of the tennis courts, as you see,
Different story.
I
Yeah.
proposed in the capital budget for the 3 courts to have some attention, right? We don't know what version of that we will execute on, but that's further discussion we would have to come back to the council on.
Yep.
For perspective that I shared with the council previously, a neighboring community took a tennis court bay, 3 courts, similar to what we have, a complete rebuild, meaning down to gravel, rebuild it up, re-epoxy it, is about a $450,000 investment. So it's really about setting what is the realistic number that we are willing to invest in the
Mhm.
tennis courts? We feel for between the basketball court and the 2 tennis courts, the upper court and the lower court, we can make a dramatic improvement to the condition of all of those courts with that $300,000. That would last us for, you still only get 5 to 7 years out of that investment.
Yep.
Related to Canonicus along the
Can I
skate.
just comment quickly on the
Absolutely.
test? So awesome. And I wasn't suggesting that we invest any more or any less or do anything different. I was just simply saying, um, I just want to make sure it's weeded, and I want to make sure the rec department has the money to do that. Because they get a ton of use, and I've seen people fall. Like I've witnessed people fall pretty hard on the courts because of the weeds, because you slip. Yeah, you're running backwards, you slip, and I've seen more than a few people take a hard fall. So yeah, so just want to do that. And then I just didn't know about if we're responsible for that for Canonicus, or if the state is for weeding it.
So that portion of Canonicus, so the boat ramp going north to Bayview,
Yep.
that is a state responsibility. Although we do put our staff out there on occasion
Okay.
to augment what the state is responsible for.
Just because I've noticed, and I know it's kind of an ambiguous place, but it's like the best vista in Jamestown, and then you have like 2-foot high weeds, and it's not your staff and it's not you and the town's responsibility necessarily, but it just really sucks that they don't maintain it the way that they should.
Understood.
That's all I have.
Thank you.
Great job with the budget. I didn't get to say that. We have tight parameters, and Ed, I think it was super thoughtful in terms of the way you put it together and what you asked for, and what you're trying to get the council to approve. And Tina, thank you for all the hard work as well with what went into that.
Yes, thank you. So item B under unfinished business, basically, we don't have to vote on that. We've already scheduled that. Isn't that correct? The March 26th?
Actually,
Yes, so it's about setting dates, right? So we
Mhm.
just want to be, very careful. There's a couple of things, as I mentioned, April 20th, drop dead deadline of which
Mhm.
we would need an approved budget from you. In addition to that, we would need the warrant resolution if you are going to move forward the $1.8 million bond request for the ladder truck. So both of those items would have to be approved by the council March 20th. As Tina explained, there's a process still in terms of we have to send it up to Department of Revenue. They have to authorize it, and then it comes back in order to get to Roberta and ready for the FTM.
Okay.
I was just going to say, I know I heard Mary's comment about taking the money off of the abrevieties. I know that's an open item, but I mean, I don't think a lot's going to change. I mean, I know we're going to have the joint session with the school next week. We should have that session, but at least for me, I mean, I'm pretty much there in terms of like where I want to be with approving the budget. So I just want to put that out there. I don't know how my fellow counselors feel about that, if you're in a similar place, but I just wanted to go on record to say I think I'm kind of coalescing around what's been presented.
No, that's good. That's good to hear. Thank you, Eddie. I think that the one good thing is that Council Bryan should be here on the 26th. Is that
He said he was.
right? Okay.
That is our understanding.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's good.
And
But
let's
I
hope
don't,
he is
yeah,
for
let's,
his own welfare.
exactly, exactly. So, okay.
And we don't, I have that we don't have a meeting on the 20th. Did we already move that?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I have that we don't have a meeting on the 20th.
The
Right.
26th, I think we're talking about the joint.
I'm looking at April.
That's just a deadline.
Okay.
That's a deadline, but also we have a water and sewer meeting somewhere
That's
around.
our regular
Yeah.
scheduled second meeting of the month.
Right.
April 20th.
April 20th.
I
Um,
have it as the 13th.
No,
No?
because the first meeting is on
This-
the 6th. So
Oh, I
2
don't
weeks
know.
later, or not the 6th, what is that?
But we do have a meeting with the school from March 26th.
Right.
I would like to request if we could put on that agenda for us, what you have under number C, April 1st, the deadline to submit potential town council bond questions for the November ballot. That, I guess, April 1 it's very interestingly, April Fool's Day, is the deadline for that. What I'd like to do is have the Affordable Housing Committee meets this week, and I'd love to talk about that with them and develop a request on the, potentially a request on the 26th to put a bond for affordable housing on the November ballot. So can we do that? Can we put that? Does that give?
That would be a special council meeting you would have?
No, it's the same day as the school committee.
Right, so.
If we could have a special council meeting either before or after
Correct.
the meeting with the school committee, whichever
I'm
you,
thinking in technical terms, you would have to convene a special meeting.
yes,
Because the meeting you have current is a workshop.
yes,
If you want to vote on a potential bond question,
right.
we would have to schedule a
So
special.
that's all I'm asking. That
Okay.
is what I'm
Making
asking.
sure I understand the.
Yep, thank you.
Okay.
I guess, do I need to,
think-
do we need to vote on that?
Roberta, did you want
So
to?
just for clarification, we're meeting at 5:30
Mhm.
to discuss the joint work session between the town council and the school committee and the budget as it relates.
Oh,
to
and
the
then I
school
think
committee.
as you noted, the school committee comes in and takes over this room, correct?
Yes,
Right. Is it possible for us to meet at 5 or 5:15?
that's, I mean, I would have to check with the school committee.
No, not with the school committee, with us.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah,
I'm trying to
just-
follow.
Yeah, just the council. I don't know if anybody, if you all can be here at
Wait.
5:15
Could we vote on that now? The bond?
to,
For
well,
the
I'd
ladder
rather-
truck?
But I'd rather have, we don't know a number. I'd like to talk to Ed about the number. We've
The
talked.
number for the ladder truck?
No, this isn't the ladder truck. This is a bond for affordable
Oh, I'm
housing. that
sorry.
Would be on the, the ladder truck.
Completely lost.
The ladder truck gets.
I think one of the reasons too is because we know that, we hope that Eric's going to be
Yeah.
here. He's planning on being here. I'd
Yeah.
like to have a full council.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yep. So I guess that's up to you. Are you available at 5:15 on the 26th?
Right. I am, so, but we need, yeah, I know.
But just so we're clear,
I am
do
as
we
well.
know the scope of what it is that we would be
No,
discussing?
that's what I'm trying to, that's what we would be presented to us at the time. We put a bond
Yep.
for $3 million before the FTM. We were told, the basic answer
I
to
know.
that was we needed a plan, we needed a project. And, and so what, in the informal discussion, Ed and I talked about the possibility that because we'll have more by November, we won't by April, but by November, we should have more information about Knowles Court. We should have more information from the group that's looking at other potential affordable housing sites. So I think if we were looking for, I guess what I'm saying is I'm looking for to repeat that bond, trying to accomplish what the public asked us at the financial town meeting is to have projects that told what we wanted to do. So I'd like to be able to talk first to the town administrator, but then also talk with the Affordable Housing Committee about what the amount of that bond might be or how it might be phrased. Does that make any sense?
And then the intention would be like right before, on the 26th, before the joint session with the school, you would present it to us or we'd review it?
It would be presented, yeah, because what he's saying is, there's an April 1 deadline for that.
Yeah.
And that's a hard and fast deadline, I assume?
Yes,
Yeah.
the deadline is February 15th. That they have extended it, our delegation has says we will give you till April 1st.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Okay.
Okay, so who can make the 5:15 on the 26th?
I can.
Can you, Mary?
Lawn school dance.
Well, you'll just have to hang up your dancing shoes for a little bit and, okay, so there's 4 of us we know that will make it.
It's enough.
Yeah. So I think we should vote on that. So I'd like to make a motion. to
No,
put
Ed
that-
said we don't have to vote on
We
it.
don't have to?
I don't think to set a meeting, no.
No.
Okay, okay.
We can
Very
Does,
discuss.
good.
does that deadline also extend to the ladder truck?
No,
It does not.
So
Yes.
no.
Isn't it?
no.
So the ladder truck, what I've asked you to do is consider the bond, the $1.8 million for the bond for the ladder truck at the financial town meeting, right?
Okay.
As long as you are prepared to adopt a warrant by
Oh, I
April
see. All right.
20th, we can execute that.
Okay.
The affordable housing bond, if one is put forward, it be at the general election in November, that's got to go to the General Assembly first. The deadline for you to get that resolution to the General Assembly is April 1st.
Yeah. Okay.
So that would be a separate and distinct process.
So the ladder truck will be handled at the FTM
Mhm.
and then the affordable housing will be
Correct.
a bond, a ballot issue in November. Okay. Thank Thank you.
So we will prepare the warrant that's necessary for you to approve for the $1.8 million for the ladder truck. And we'll have that at the next available meeting for you to consider.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate you taking me to school on the process.
Well, we can all use a refresher, don't worry.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's unfinished business. We have no new business at this time. We have to vote on whether or not to advertise for some vacancies.
It's, no.
No,
it's
we don't
just-
need to.
This is just information.
Okay.
And I provided you in your packets,
Right, the list.
the list. We're
Yep.
coming up on May, so that means more vacancies
Okay.
are coming up, which also means more interviews.
Right.
I just wanted to give you a complete heads up on that.
Okay. That brings us to the consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda?
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Let's see, the council acknowledges the communications. We have one more open forum if anybody would like to speak. No? Okay. And now I will entertain a motion to go into executive session.
None.
so moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. All right, Mary's gonna leave.
Yep.
And, yeah.
What, Gary?
Okay.